What's up, you bunch of badass amphibians? Welcome to That Game Rules, a subpar retro podcast where we break down classic video games, warts and all, and mix in some old memories from the playground. I'm your host, Scuba. Thanks as always for joining me in the dungeon this week. And if that music at the beginning gave you a little bit of bad memories, then you might be in this Battletoads club with me. Move over, Ninja Turtles. Step aside, Bart versus the Space Mutants, because Battletoads is here to teach us kids what a real NES tough game is. I thought this game was tough as a kid, but the sheer skill it takes to beat this game makes it not just tough, but the stuff of freaking legends. Rash and Zitz are taking the lead, off to rescue Pimple, off to rescue the princess, and if you thought the princess being in another castle was frustrating, wait until you see what Battletoads has in store for you. It's a beat 'em up. It's a platformer, it's crazy racing levels, and it's the hardest f***ing game on the NES. We're going to get toad-tastic, we're going to break some controllers, and we're probably going to cry a little. But first, let's crack these nuclear knuckles, and let's give this podcast intro the big bad boot. Every episode starts with a trip back in time, talking old movies, cartoons, toys, and more. Then we get into the game vitals, the art, the characters, the design, the history, music. We'll check out some comments and reviews, probably find a good therapist, maybe make a Zen garden. Finally, we'll give this game some awards, slap a ranking on it, call it a show, and try to get my blood pressure back to normal. I went into this game with one goal. That's it. Beat level 3, beat the turbo tunnel, beat the speed bike level, and that is just level 3 out of 12. How far did I make it in this toad torturing game? Did I finally bite through my controller cord to get to the juicy coppery goodness underneath? Am I even alive anymore? My thoughts are just filled with speed bike jumps, weird snake platforming, and rat races. It's all just a blur. Email the show at thatgamerules@gmail.com. Tell me what games you want to talk about. Come follow me over on the socials, Facebook mainly, all the ones you know. Just come join the fun. It's just video game clips, video game chat. We'll wash the negativity away. Let's bring some positivity back into gaming. It's the Working Man's Podcast. That's where I don't have time to do the things I like. So join me if you're in that same boat. And in that case, what have I been up to while playing my Battletoads run? We got number 1, questioning all my life choices. How did I get here? What day is it? Am I wearing pants? Number 2, waking up screaming from turbo tunnel night terrors, ramping off my bed straight into my wall. Number 3, scaring my family, making them wonder if Dad is going to go out for milk and if he is ever going to come home or not. It's all part of the Battletoads mental health program. Get on board. But enough adult anger. What was little Scuba doing back in the day? What were my gaming memories of this, playing this when I was 6 years old? I've got some decent memories from Battletoads, but it does fall into that category of just playing. I wasn't even old enough, I think, to get angry at games, because even though this would be like a rental, I still just had Mario's. I would just play it, turn it off, and play some Mario, play some Micro Machines or something. But as far as me, it was a little kid classic. Of course, I never made it far without the Game Genie. That was my boy. But I do remember some overnights with my friends. You always wanted the multiplayer games with the friends. Even better if they're both on screen. Nobody wanted to take turns. We wanted to play everything together. So, of course, I was a huge Turtle fan back then as well as anything that seemed cool, rad, or that 90s gross that came along with everything back then. And Battletoads, it was designed to speak to a kid like me, and I was all about it. The change in level designs was crazy back then. just the first 3 levels, all I ever played back then. You know, you started with your beat 'em up, then you got the swinging, spelunking down the cavern, then you had the racing bikes that I never made, especially if 2-player. It's a game that's harder with 2 players. We'll get into that later. But we were playing this, me and my friends. We're playing Turtles 2, the arcade game, playing Micro Machines, Ikari Warriors, all the NES multiplayers we could find, the ones where we didn't have to take turns. And although this game was insanely tough, like I said, I didn't get really frustrated. I think I just accepted that I could never get the level 3 skills needed to ever move on from this game. Now, Now I'm a bit of a completionist now that I'm older, and maybe it's decades of untreated anxiety and OCD that gave adult scuba different feelings when playing, as well as a whole list of fun cuss words I didn't know as a kid. So deep breaths. Let's get back to the 90s, before Battletoads, when it was all sunshine and rainbows. Let's time warp, Doc. Just do your thing. Get us out of here.
Have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Welcome back to 1991. We're at the start of the console wars back here. Our fake ad today, you're going to need energy to take on Battletoads. And today's fake sponsor gave us a snack that had all the boys saying, it's not the size that matters, it's how you use it.
Come on, dude.
Just chill.
No, this is what?
Look, homeboy, you'll play when my turn's over.
But you've been playing for 62 years.
Now you can play Nintendo 64 longer than ever. With Fruit by the Foot's new game tips, 90 tips to help you reach new levels and beyond. And 64 game tips from Fruit by the Foot. Your games go on and on and on.
Mom, you're killing me.
Oh, it's snack time. Introduced in 1991, Fruit by the Foot ran right alongside all our other gummy classics like Fruit Roll-Ups and Gushers. And while there are no shark bites, fruit snacks, Fruit by the Foot features 3 feet of unrollable, chewy goodness in what I see as another attempt to keep the metric system down over here in America. Nobody wants fruit by the centimeter, but you used to have cool stuff on the paper. You'd have jokes, tongue twisters, trivia games, and of course companies got cheap and everything just sucks now. I don't think they do any of the cool stuff. You used to have like tattoos on like your Fruit by the Foot wrappers, I think back then. But back in 1999, Nintendo got together with General Mills for that promo you just heard, featuring N64 tips and tricks on the wax paper. 3 different variations with 30 tips on each, and you better hope that that tip you really needed didn't get cut off on the end of that wax paper. Specifically, I know they have Banjo-Kazooie tips. I remember those back in the day. But you've had your snacks. Let's get to the movies, see what was popping back in the 90s.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Oh, it's 1991. We're in the movies. Let's go. You know, we can't talk about Battletoads without talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, specifically Secret of the Ooze. It's the original, the worst sequel, considered to be worse than the original, but I like it better. I like number 2 better. I'm sorry, but the farm scene in number 1 is just so boring, y'all. I can't take it. Enough turtle talk for now. There'll be plenty more. Also out that year, Star Trek 6. I'm not a big Star Trek guy, usually. Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, was the final film featuring the original cast and an attempt to fix all that was wrong with Star Trek 5, just based on what the fans have to say. But most of my Star Trek knowledge comes from the newer movies, which I enjoy. Galaxy Quest, I still say, is the best Star Trek movie ever. And then that one episode of Futurama.
Perhaps we could hear more about these forbidden words from someone with a sexily seductive voice.
With pleasure. You see, the show was banned after the Star Trek Wars.
You mean the vast migration of Star Wars fans?
No, that was the Star Wars Trek.
So we had fantasy movies back then, like Beauty and the Beast, Hook, An American Tail, 5 Goes West, but I want to talk about the spooky stuff. It's the spooky stuff I love. Movies like Ernest Scared Stupid and The Addams Family. And while I prefer Addams Family values, let's highlight some of this dark comedy classic in that original Addams Family movie. The production behind that 1991 hit was just as chaotic, stressful, and fascinating as that spooky family itself. To give the actress Angelica Houston, she played Morticia. So to give her the signature slanted eyes of Morticia, makeup artists used gum and string to literally pull her eyes tight and anchor them behind her head. And on top of that, she was wearing a metal corset that's like to give her that super tiny waist, and she couldn't sit down in it, so they literally made a special leaning board for when she had to rest. She would go lean up against a freaking piece of 2x4 or something like that. So she had it rough. They also did the thing there where they put the light on her eyes to kind of imitate the old TV show where if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Like they specifically just make it across her eyes there. But she wasn't the only one struggling. The person who had to put on all the stuff for Cousin It, just the big piece of hair. The wig itself weighed over 35 pounds. The anchor had to wear a neck brace to keep their head up and a hoop skirt to also keep holding that big pile of hair up. And then for the hand actor and magician Chris Hart spent 4 months shooting his scenes twice. First, he was wheeled around on a cart with his hand exposed, and then they would shoot the whole scene without him so the editors can then rotoscope out his body. It makes me think of the hand model from Zoolander. I wonder if he's got his hand in like glass case like David Duchovny. I love movie magic. I love the weird stuff from back then. But let's get back to the living room to check out some cartoons. It's the living room where the real magic happened when you turned on the TV guide and the channel that you wanted was right there scrolling on up. So let's check out some shows. We're talking Battletoads. We're talking Ninja Turtles. By 1991, TMNT had reached the peak of its Turtle Mania, and it's time for the competition to try their best to get our attention. While we had Street Sharks out there, they started hard in the action figure market. Battletoads, they went straight video game first, with dreams of a Toad takeover on the TV and toy market as well. What do you do when you want to create a cartoon similar to Ninja Turtles to compete in their market? Well, you freaking hire David Weiss himself, the original writer for the Ninja Turtles cartoon, to pen up a Battletoads cartoon. And what we get is one pilot episode, never picked up. It's now referred to as a special since it never got picked up. It's just the one show. It's pretty generic and basic. It features the misadventures of a group of crime-fighting toads. It has one user review from somebody with the professional internet handle of 13 Fun Bags. And the review's interesting. It says, quote, the Dark Queen lives in a penis-shaped tower. The talking bird tells them you'll have to enter through the base, climb the central shaft, and break into the top. There's a group hug at the end, and when they switch angles, the princess's head is extremely low. End quote. Get your head out of the sewers. What are you watching these old cartoons and trying to find anything sexually explicit, I guess? We had the penis tower on the Little Mermaid cover. So maybe that's just how things are designed back in some of these fantasies. I get it, but go YouTube that, I guess. It's not even, I don't know, it's not even 90s enough to really be unique. It's quite generic. But moving on to what we were really cared about back in 1991, the video games themselves. Back to video games. The Super Nintendo is out and it's amazing. But what about all these other games going against the Battletoads on the NES? The Nintendo's still got some life left in it. It's still got a couple years. So let's talk. You were playing against, so NES, you had games still coming out. You had Tecmo Super Bowl. We had Power Blade, which is it Power Blade 2? That is one of the rarest NES games. I love the sequel. There's DuckTales 2, Flintstones. Is it Surprise It? Dino Peak, which one is I love the old rare NES games, that Chip and Dale 2, like all these end of system games that they didn't mass produce a lot, so they just become super rare. We had Micro Machines out. That's got an episode. Lots of sequels. Lolo 3, Double Dragon 3. They'll eventually, Double Dragon, they're going to go team up with the Battletoads. You got Adventure Island 2. Those are tough games. Ninja Gaiden 3, again tough, and people will say Battletoads is tougher than Ninja Gaiden. Yeah, Tiny Toon Adventures, that's got an episode. Bart versus the Space Mutants, that's got an episode. Also extremely tough game. But meanwhile, we got all those NES games, but this game's competing with the Super Nintendo. What were we playing on the Super Nintendo, you ask? We had Super Mario World, of course. We had The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. We had this little we had some good horror games. You know what this one is? Here it comes. Oh yeah, get the Belmont family back in action with Super Castlevania 4. You had Final Fantasy 2/4 and another good spooky game here. I got tons of music. I love the Super Nintendo music. Another great one. Super Ghouls and Ghosts, baby. I think that's got an episode too. I'd love the day where I have enough episodes on this podcast where I forget if I've done a game or not. That sounds like a dream come true. But the console wars, they're heating up. There's brand new gaming systems on the landscape. So why were us kids beating ourselves up on the speed bikes and Battletoads? Well, some fancy box art is going to help. A big old green and purple toad-tastic piece of art that is definitely going to catch your attention walking down those video rental aisles. Let's take a look at this box art.
Now, I know you love video games, and I asked the clerk which is the one every boy wants.
You got me. Oh, yeah.
All right, let's get into it. Already, Battletoads 1991, you're talking a game developed by Rare for the Nintendo, and I am already all about it.
Shut up and take my money.
No, the box art itself, it's purple, it's green, like I mentioned, and those two colors are just chef's kiss. It's super bright. You got your big toads in the front. They've got like the accessories, the spiked belt and the spiked wrist braces and things, and they're looking like they're ready to kick some toad butt. So it's got, on the original one itself, there is a little mistake as far as all three toads sharing the exact same skin color, which is not canonically correct. And then Rash, he's missing his signature sunglasses. But that's okay. The cover's speaking to me. You got big fists, you got big punching. Lots of rats. It's beating up the rats, although the toads themselves and like the comic books and these other things, it's really about beating the pig bosses, the psycho pigs, and fun phrases like making bacon and pounding pork, which is a questionable phrase, but they say it a lot in the comic. We're going to be referencing the Nintendo Power Volume 25 a lot. It's got like a 30-page spread of Battletoads. Nintendo was excited for Rare to get their game out there. So we'll be heavily referencing that and all the kooky, fun sayings they've got back from that magazine in 1990. So we've got that. We're going to touch a little bit first, though, on the history of Rare. I didn't know. I'm big on the Rare and the Nintendo 64. You think of games like GoldenEye, of course. You think of Diddy Kong Racing, the SNES, of course, Donkey Kong Country. You're thinking of all these great Rare games. I didn't know they had so many made for just the Nintendo itself. So I guess that's my bad.
Am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong.
So the company Rare made 47 games for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Of course, they had Battletoads. They had a couple others. They had games like Slalom. That was their very first NES game. They did RC Pro-Am, which I love. Wizards and Warriors. Snake, Rattle, and Roll, which, if that's what caused you guys to make that snake level in this game, maybe I don't like Snake, Rattle, and Roll. The background itself, it was founded by Tim and Chris Stamper in 1985, and I hope these guys are doing okay. I wonder, was your childhood rough? What caused you to make this game for children they would give us anger issues for the rest of our lives. The company started as one of the first non-Japanese developers for the Famicom/NES, and they produced just a large volume of titles under Rare for a long time. These guys wanted to develop games for Nintendo so bad, they reverse engineered the thing to be able to run games on it, and Nintendo was so impressed, instead of suing them, they essentially gave Rare free reign to make games, even letting them break their yearly limit they had on third-party games per company back then. Back when Nintendo limited games third parties could put out, because in Nintendo's mind, they thought that it would decrease the quality of games. None of that turned out to be true. Nintendo eventually just let companies do what they gonna do. So the development of this game, developed by Rare, was published by Trade West. Of course, I already mentioned Tim and Chris Stamper, just two guys founding this company, Rare. And I mean, just to go on from there, just again, when I think about these companies back in the day, I think of like hundreds of guys in a big building, and half the time it's 3 or 4 guys in like a 10 by 10 room, just empty soda cups everywhere. And that's the landscape. I wish I was a game designer in the 80s. The game was made, of course, in response to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles craze of the 90s. Turtle Mania, it's hard to describe if you didn't live through it. The show, I had the action figures, movies, snacks. We had turtle pies. We had pizza Crunchables. We had the pillowcases, the bed sheets, the sleeping bags, the little tent things. You're rocking Ninja Turtle underwear, T-shirts. It had the Halloween costumes back then with the plastic masks that would cut into your face like you're the Joker. We had everything back then. But to create a contrast to the popular media franchise and other beat-em-ups of the time, Rare added extra mechanics in the game to help separate it from those genres, such as the racing stages and the climbing courses. So it definitely strayed far from the just kind of beat 'em up. Although Ninja Turtles 1 wasn't a beat 'em up, from there, the arcade game, Turtles 3, and you're looking at all these other games, Streets of Rage, although that wasn't out yet. Some of the pre-Streets of Rage stuff, River City Ransom, all these kind of games are a lot more serious. Even for Battletoads, they originally had a lot of weapon ideas, because that's kind of what goes into those beat 'em up games, but they scrapped them to make the game more cartoony, less violent. Although you do get the little stick, I guess, in the, what is it? It's like a feather or a talon from the birds. You can get a few weapons, but it's definitely more cartoony. They added those combos with the giant fists and the giant boots, and I love all those cartoon effects so much. Rare decided early to take the game's art style and tone it in a cartoony direction, both to distance Battletoads further from the other beat-em-up franchises and to comply with Nintendo's restrictions on violence in video games. Although Ninja Turtles, I guess, could get away with stuff. But even then in this game, they were still, it's weird because it's like violence, but still in the 90s, with violence kind of being an issue, but I guess guns not so much, because a lot of these old Nintendo games, the enemies and bosses just straight up have guns. That's the case in this game as well. And then they go and they end up taking those out down the road. Even in Spyro, the Spyro remake, there's guys in the original Spyro with machine guns. They take them out in the remake. I'm not all about that life. And they changed, some of the stuff they had to change because they don't own the rights to say some of the references they were saying. And I'm still talking about Spyro and other games, but I don't like it when they re-release, when they remake a game and they take some stuff out. That's why I appreciate collectors out there holding on to all that original stuff. Otherwise, years and years, what's left? Nothing from the original because they've changed it so much. Keep going. According to Rare artist Kevin Bayliss, the characters of Battletoads were conceived in order to, quote, produce merchandise on a mass scale. Is that not the goal of anybody in a company business trying to do anything? Spaceballs said it best. Merchandise, baby, merchandise. Bayliss claims that he did most of the work on sketching the game's characters, while Tim Stamper was largely responsible for translating those sketches and artwork into sprites. One of the funnest things I think about in gaming is probably the most tedious job in the world, to have this nice drawn up sketch and then this kind of grid square, and you got to kind of plug in these colors to try and match that. I think I admire that kind of stuff though. Rare attempted to create variation through shifts in gameplay between levels and intentionally made Battletoads crazy hard in order to increase its longevity. It's the old...
You son of a bitch.
It's the old Lion King trick. Although this was before Lion King, I'll still place all the blame solely on the Lion King. The old make the game harder so they can't beat it in a weekend rental, forcing the parents to go buy it. The thing is, if the game is so tough that we're not beating it, or at least not progressing, or at least not happy enough with the game through a weekend rental or two, if it's that frustrating, chances are we aren't going to ask our parents to then go buy it. You know, usually it's like at least when I was a kid, I don't know, it's so different. The difference between being a 6-year-old and a 10-year-old, whether just having fun, was it more fun to beat a game, an easier game as a little kid, or was it more fun with the challenge? It just depended on what kind of kid you were, I suppose. But Bayless frequently heard the team's programmer, Mark Betteridge, scream in anger after failing to complete levels he had assembled himself. You're just hearing tons of those from the other room. I was making a lot of those, a lot of that.
You're killing me, Smalls.
I had a lot of that going on, and a lot of that, and some of this.
Son of a bitch.
Just tons of cussing and screaming while I was playing those levels myself. Despite their own difficulties, the team's consensus was that Battletoads was possible to complete with practice and skill. I'm not so sure about that. Maybe practice and skill and 80 hours and nothing else to do. The game underwent changes through early stages of development, and at one point was originally titled Amphibians with a Z at the end. That is, if anything was 90s, it's changed that S to a Z. Bayless originally designed Battletoads as a Disney-themed video game. However, as the game gradually became more violent, Bayless took extra liberties to tone it down while still creating a sense of uniqueness for the characters.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Let's talk about the release. You know, sometimes it takes a couple of decades for people to really get their full opinions out on a game. But what were people saying back in 1991? Battletoads, it was presented at the CES show in January, Consumers Electronics Show. Again, all those big game demo shows I miss. An article about the event from EGM claimed it to be highly innovative. A few months after the initial North American release, Battletoads got the Japanese localized release for the Famicom, getting distributed in Japan all over the place. And that release featured several gameplay tweaks, which resulted in a marginally easier experience. Same went to the PAL version. The original NES Battletoads is the hardest. It's also got game-breaking bugs in it. All these things will be fixed in ports down the road, but even like the Game Boy, the Genesis, the Game Gear, all these ports, they were all made easier. Battletoads was greeted with mostly enthusiastic reviews upon release, with critics calling it one of the best all-time video games, one of the best games of '91, one of the best all-time NES games, and the greatest NES game of 1991. Based on our 1991 list, that's arguable. This game isn't hard because it's broken. It's not hard because developers took shortcuts. It's hard because they designed it that way. But as these designers, the stampers, they're gamers. Like, you can tell the game looks good. The controls, this game would be unplayable, period, if the controls weren't actually super tight and responsive. They are. There's just stun locks that kill you. There's just the thing of the game is you make it literally, if every level has 300 obstacles, whether it's an enemy, spike dropping, shell thingy, it's like you make it through one obstacle, you make literally your next 3-foot jump and something else kills you. Now you got to memorize that for your next run. Make it all the way up to that, beat that, jump another 3 foot, something else kills you, memorize that for next time. It's very, people back then, they're just making up reviews worse than mine or even now. Gameplay-wise, Battletoads was praised for its diversive gameplay styles. Okay. Addictiveness, yes. And motivating challenge level. Motivating can change to destroying things real quickly. Rob Bright of Nintendo Magazine explained that progress isn't slow, but then it isn't a breeze. And Julian of Mean Machines wrote that it's, quote, brilliantly designed to allow you to get just a little bit further each time you play and give experts the potential to hone their skills and rack up enormous amounts of bonus points. I mean, I guess and then Chris Beniak appreciated the simplicity of the controls of its multiple specialty moves, particularly how attacks triggered by the B button change between levels. I like that. It's the same button, but it just does different things depending on the level you're on, different animations, stuff like that. The platforming sections, however, were criticized for having poor collision detection that results in cheap death. Reviewers from Sega Force also noted this problem in the Mega Drive port and called the game a run-of-the-mill platformer with unresponsive controls, random difficulty between levels, very little surprises, and menial objectives. So if you take a game like Battletoads, a lot of those transfer overs, I feel the same way about Mega Man over on the Sega when they have that collection, the Wily Wars, I think, which is kind of like the original Mega Man. And they look great. It's no Super Mario All-Stars, though, because it plays worse. I don't like it. I also need that NES pad, that NES controller on this game. I don't want no switch buttons. I don't want no any other controller that isn't that tight. D-pad on the NES. It is a necessity. So let's move on. Let's talk about... Before we get into the anger on the gameplay here, I'm telling you, I have a level by level kind of breakdown here, and I will try to say nice things. There's good things. Anyway, we're going to talk about the music. We're going to talk about something great. We're going to talk about something I love about the game. So let's talk about the music.
Hey, listen.
And while Rare co-founder Mark Betteridge composed the iconic looping pause screen beat, which is pretty dope, the rest of the entire soundtrack was scored by legendary British composer David Weiss. This is not the same guy who I mentioned earlier that wrote the Ninja Turtles show and the Battletoads episode. Same name, different guy, but if David Weiss sounds familiar, again, maybe you know a little bit about video game music. Before he gained worldwide acclaim for Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo, Weiss used Battletoads to prove that 8-bit chip music could sound like a live garage rock band. Just the fact this guy did Donkey Kong Country makes me want to mail him a fan letter or something. So I've got some tech stuff I don't understand about the Nintendo, but I want to someday. So let's go through it. The NES sound chip, it's the Ryko 2A03, offered only 5 basic audio channels. You had 2 pulse waves, 1 triangle wave, 1 noise channel, and 1 primitive sound channel. I mean, that's how it always goes, right? You get 2 pulse waves, you only get 1 noise channel. I know, right? Wise maximized this restricted setup through creative programming. He used a low-frequency triangle wave to mimic funk bass lines, heavily syncopating, heavily something the notes. He does something to the notes to give the tracks a distinct groove. He works magic. He's got little elves performing spells. He combined the harsh white noise channel with short, snappy triangle wave bursts to create a surprisingly punchy drum kit. And then he tuned the 2 pulse wave channels to play tight interlocking harmonies, successfully replicating the heavy, distorted feel of heavy metal and rock and roll guitar riffs. And it always amazes me how they make those chip tunes sound like real instruments. You guys really are, you're magicians there. The music of Battletoads did more than just provide background noise. It heightened the game's extreme adrenaline-fueled difficulty. The soundtrack became an instant fan favorite, eventually leading to official vinyl pressings being released later and securing David Weiss's reputation as a pioneer who fundamentally changed how developers approach video game music production. Thank you, David Weiss, for all your work. We're going to hear some music now before we get into Battletoads, which is I'm dying a lot in Battletoads. Maybe the music should be more akin to something like... Maybe some Squid Game death going on. But we got real music. Let's check out... you heard Turbo Tunnel was the first track I played, which is the speed bike level, which gets real repetitive if you play the speed bike level 1,000 times like I have. But we're going to play Arctic Caverns. It's a real nice... When you're not dying aggressively and getting angry, take a minute to listen to some of the music of the game. Let's do it. into the game chat now, referencing the manual, referencing that Nintendo Power issue 25, and it does have like a full comic book in between the pages of the walkthrough, which is essentially of the first game. You get kind of a lot more story. It's got your corny jokes. It's very 90s. Check it out. There are internet archives of all the Nintendo Powers out there because someone is doing the work of the gods. So appreciate all those being accessible. Check out some, even right after the Battletoads walkthrough, it goes right into the teasing and the introduction of the Super Nintendo because it was still a few months out. So it had all these design pictures. Then I end up reading about the Super Nintendo. You know me. The characters in this game, what do we got? They're named after skin conditions. If you haven't noticed, you got zits, rash, and pimple. And for some reason, the princess's name is Angelica, which is that's fine. That's a regular girl's name. And then you've got the Dark Queen, and we've got Professor Bird for some reason. And none of it makes much sense, but let's get into the story thus far. Aboard the SS Vulture, the Battletoads and Professor T-Bird are halfway through the 4 light-year voyage to take the Terran princess Angelica back to her home planet. To break the monotony of the long journey, Angelica and Pimple take a joyride in the Toadster, but before they know what hit them, the Dark Queen's flagship Gargantua swallows them up, Toadster and all, and whisks them off to Ragnarok's world. Where does that leave the rest of the Battletoads crew? Hopping mad. With the trail still warm, the SS Vulture tracks the Gargantua to Ragnarok's world, and the remaining 2 Battletoads, Zitz and Rash, storm the surface. Their mission: pound some pork, rescue their pals, and punish the Dark Queen. I don't know how many times I can say pound some pork this episode, but I enjoy it, so it's going to keep happening. Let's talk about the controls a little bit.
It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum.
It's got basic moves. It's got the addition of that combo kind of thing, but it's for better or worse. You tap your button, you'll initiate some combos. It's got your jump, but your jump your jump's good at getting you out of getting stun locked or getting out of combos, but it doesn't really have that Ninja Turtles kind of downward kick. There was a lot of jumping and kicking, playing stuff like the Ninja Turtles arcade. Not so much here, I feel like. But about those combos, with all the super moves the Toads have, the bad guys don't stand a chance. The Big Bad Boot and Kiss My Fist moves will enable the Toads to mulch, mince, mutilate, manhandle, and maim the Dark Queen's monstrous menagerie, and that's just for starters. In most cases, executing a special attack is automatic after 3 or 4 punches by repeatedly pressing the B button. In later stages, special moves are standard fare. The special moves are well animated and add to the Battletoads character, plus you get more points for defeating enemies when using them. You got the Kiss My Fist, you got Nuclear Knuckles, Big Bad Boot, Take Out the Trash. There's just other random ones. They turn into like the wrecking balls on like the spelunking level. But I feel like I really did miss the downward kick of the Ninja Turtles. As far as Toads, you think they'd be hopping around, but there's no good like downward thrust. There's really just nothing good. No real benefit to jumping around a lot like a crazy person. But let's get into the levels. All right. So levels are named kind of different, and that's always fun between the game itself, the manual, Nintendo Power, these other kind of magazines and stuff. So we'll try to reference all of them a little bit, but you're going to start out in level 1, Ragnarok's Canyon. And the magazine has tons. It's a full layout. And I find it funny when you get to like the turbo tunnel pages, and then it's like, oh, here's where you jump up and down. Look, just move up, down, and you're done. And then go do it in real life and throw your controller through the drywall. Back to level 1. It is your first. When it comes to level 1, level 2, they're easy. I'll just say it. They're easy. They're intro levels. It is such a brick wall, literally, when you get to level 3. So level 1, it's your beat 'em up. Right, just like a beat 'em up should be. You got guys popping out, busting out of caves. There's nothing super tough about it. You can learn the walker enemies. You beat them guys up. They're the big walking guys on stick. So you can actually pick up their weapons. You're going to want to do that a lot. There's a lot of parts in the game where you're going to want that weapon. What's the level I'm thinking of? And the bosses too. There's a couple of bosses. The bosses are the easiest part of the game. There's a lot of kind of glitches you can do to them. But we're fighting those pig enemies. There's a part where you can ride a dragon. So you can already do like a vehicle kind of thing. The dragon will shoot stuff too. So there's a lot just in level 1. You can eat the flies for health, which I love as a toad, even though I can never snatch them because they just fly away from me. I try, my tongue's flinging out there. I can't really. Just like any other beat 'em up, sometimes the up and down, it's hard to tell where your position is. You're going to want to pay attention to your shadows, your normal kind of beat 'em up. The beat 'em up parts of the game aren't super tough. It's the vehicle levels, it's the platforming. So level 1, super easy, and your first boss is a giant walker type thing, but it's cool. Number 1, it's got the animations, like the scared toad animation where he's like screaming and his mouth goes huge. But the boss itself is real cool because it's a POV shot from the boss. So you see your turtle guy, you're trying to run out of the crosshairs, then you pick up the ball, throw it at the boss. So I really like the first boss. Not every level has a boss, but that guy was always easy to make it through as a kid, which means we're going to move on to level 2, sometimes called the Wookiee Hole or the Impact Crater, but it's a whole new, again, every level throws something new at you, which makes it hard to get kind of a flow as you're going because you kind of have to learn all these new kind of mechanics. So this is the spelunking level. You can do your wrecking ball move. You need to stay above the enemies or they will cut that string and drop you down. You're fighting ravens and you're fighting these weird electric kind of robot things. This is also one of the levels you can do stuff, I guess kind of a secret.
It's a secret.
Shut up.
You can just, if you get some of these birds and these things you're attacking next to the wall, you can almost just rack up points, just beating them over and over. And you want to get those points because it's how you're going to get free lives. And you're going to want all those free lives if you're going to make a real full run through this game. It's also got at the bottom of this level new mechanics too. It's like you get used to beating up enemies on the way down. And now you've got these electric kind of shooting beam things you got to thread through. Kind of Mega Man style. Reminds me a lot of those levels where Mega Man's sliding. It's usually, in NES games, it's weird how unique the vertical levels become. Whether you're up and down in like a Metroid game or you're dropping down in like a Mega Man game, I find vertical platforming levels always to be unique, usually pretty fun. This one's fun. It was fine to get through as a kid. And moving on to level 3, the Turbo Tunnel.
You son of a bitch.
It's just, the worst part for me is having to fight the same rats over and over just to wipe over and over and over. It's just got a little beat 'em up at the beginning to then get to, and you'll get to your checkpoints. But if I'm game overing constantly restarting the level, I'm beating those rats up a lot. It's got, I think, 5 checkpoints to make it on the speed bikes. With, of course, the last one being the worst. I don't know. I tend to biff up mostly on, I think it's even might be the 4th one, but it's where you're doing your manual jumps. I think it's 5 times you got to get across. You got to have it pretty perfect in the center. It's tough for me. With, of course, the end part being the worst, the 10, 20 walls you got to make it through at the very end, like precision, perfect. I usually, I guess, win/lose. I'm not good enough to make it through consistently. I usually end up smashing into the warp wall, which is, I guess, fine to make it. But now when I'm just trying to master the speed bike level, I'm like, come on, let's just get up, down, up, down, up, down. I can't do. I beat this. I have beat the speeder bike level. Officially, no. I mean, it wasn't from, I have this game, it's a save state. I wanted to see this game. You know what I'm doing? I'm save stating. I'm rewinding sometimes. I don't have any shame in that. I beat the speed bike level and I want to see all the rest of the levels. So I'm going to make it there how I can with fancy things like rewind and these kind of things that like on the Switch, because Battletoads is up on the Switch. So I was playing some of it there to get through it. I can make it, and then all week I make it through the turbo tunnel level and starting to learn level 4, the Arctic caverns, and it's like I need another week. And unless you want this episode to come out in 6 months, I got to see these levels and crank through them. One of my favorite parts about the turbo tunnel, not favorite, one of the fun things that still drives me crazy about the game, one of the enemies is the Space Invader enemies. And in the book, they're called Vaders, but they are the little Galaga-looking Space Invader things. And they will straight up just go and steal your health bar. And then you got to fight. It's like the game isn't hard enough. You got guys just stealing your health bar out of nowhere. But the turbo tunnel, you know it's insane. Good luck if you make it through it. Timing is everything. You've got to be a master. And I've seen people do this blindfolded. And so when we start talking about the speedrunning community, these guys are legends when it comes to this game. But level 4, we've got an ice level, which is pretty standard fare in your video games. But there's a lot. There are aggressive ice mechanics. There's snowmen looking like they're right out of Clay Fighter. They can stun lock you like crazy with their stupid snowballs. Everything stun locks you. And then your carcass just slides away to infinity. Like down these... It takes you 10 minutes to get back up. So my dead toad is just sliding down ramp after ramp. It's got some spiky shells. I get that reference. A little Mario action going on there. A lot more deadly. For some reason, the ice cave has... one shot, one kill, sea urchin looking spike things that are just freaking everywhere. Instant death spikes everywhere. It's super abusive platforming. And it's the one that it's like I was saying earlier, I'll make it past that snowman. And then you've got a shell that got you. Make it past the shell, and then there's an ice cube that gets you. Make it past the ice cube in the ramps, and then there's another snowman. He'll get you. So make it past that snowman, but nope, now you need that ice cube. You got to pick that ice cube up, throw it over there to go break that wall. And then you're like, oh, that's all. And then they add the platforms. Now you're platforming across the spiky stuff, and you need to know exactly where those platforms are going at the exact right time as they're moving. Insanely tough, and it just gets worse from here. Level 5, Surf City, an attempt to capture that TMNT sewer surfing mania, but in this level, you're on a surfboard, you can't jump, your sprite just kind of randomly bounces, so you got that to kind of come into play too. And I think Lion King took some inspiration from this level for their crazy log in the water platforming part they have in their hard-ass game over there. Some stuff's harder than others. I feel like the beginning part with the logs is tough. There's some whirlpools that aren't as bad, but then you make it through all that. You like fight a boss, and then you hop back on the water. You make it through like a couple more landmines. The tough part about that is the boss, he's fairly easy, but you make it to this point and you think the boss is the end of the level. And then it's like this waterfall hop across with your surfboard that usually lands you right on a mine and kills you. So it's like you make it all that way and then die and then go beat the big boss guy again. The boss is big blag. And again, the bosses are relatively easy compared to everything else this game's going to throw at you. In this case, you can stun lock the guy against a wall, just bounce him off the wall with a walker leg, hopefully. But again, the bosses at the end make it through some sea mines. If you manage to keep your sanity...
You're killing me, Smalls.
We're only at level 5, and this game is killing me. The next level is even freaking worse. Karnath's Lair, the Snake Pit. Literally, it's like the game Snake, but it makes me want to punch a baby. So it's like you have to memorize these levels. A lot of times when I talk about platforming, it's like, yay, Mario. Over and over, it's platforming. You play the level. You start to memorize where things are. Bingo, bango, done. Not in this frickin' game. You got to memorize them. You have to be insanely quick, insanely reflective. You have to be extremely lucky. You need all these things to combine to make it through this game. Because again, if you made it to the Snake Pit now, you've made it through the speed bikes. You made it through Arctic level. You made it through the surfboards. And now you're on this insanely tough snake level that you can't just memorize it because you also need perfect precision jumping that you won't learn unless you do it to begin with. So you have to you're going to need 30, 40, 50 deaths in this world to learn the world. And if you don't have like a save state at the beginning of the world to kind of train, then you're going back to the beginning every time, hoping you make it through the speed bike level, to hope that you can make it through 2 more levels to even, and then get back to the snake pit level to try to remember what part it is you were trying to memorize. It makes for a tough game. I don't know how anyone did this when they were kids. Even when I had full weekends, even if it was summer and no school, I wasn't the type of player to beat myself up on a game like this. Even now, as an adult, it blows my mind how much skill it takes. It's got to be a 1 to 2% of the gaming pool or less that have or can complete this game in a normal NES run. I 1000% cannot, and I don't think I'll ever try again after this episode. There's other games I'd rather. Coming off a Mario RPG, I need to go back, listen to some Todofsky music again and relax. This game had me on edge. You ever play those? You've seen the memes. You know it's serious mode when you went from sitting back to sitting up in your chair. That was this game 100 times. It was literal. Like, I haven't felt those heart palpitations in a game of gaming since I was a kid, when I was running back through this game, having to take breaks, having to take deep breaths, like sweating in my chair playing some of this game, and like holding that controller so tight it feels like my bones are gonna snap. So I couldn't explain the snake level. If you think of the game Snake itself, the old school one with the snake kind of going around a screen, I mean, kind of picture that in platforming, except you need to jump and climb on these snakes. It's not so bad in the first level where there's no spikes. It gives you a good kind of practice. And then every level after that is going to be in like an instant death if you land it, if you don't make it perfect. And it's four snake stages that just go from hard to worst. The last, even stage 3, it has the snakes flying out of the wall. You can't even tell when to, unless through memorization, when to jump from, because you got one snake going into a wall. You have to jump at the right time that's going in to then land on the snake coming out of the wall above you. You can picture that in your head at all. Maybe that's enough. Oh, maybe that's enough snake talk for now. That level had me quite annoyed, but also kind of sad.
I bet my Wookiee.
This whole game is one big bent Wookiee. Level 7, let's see, no bosses in your stupid snake level. We're going to the fire zone. We're going to Valkmir's Inferno. It's a vehicle level. It's a fire level. So it's interesting to have a fire level, but it's not platforming. So you don't got any lava to jump in or avoid, I guess. You don't want to jump into lava unless you're Mario in Mario 64 and you're trying to get to that one star, like shortcut in the lava. You can do some cheap lava jumps in Mario 64. What am I even talking about? Valkmir's Inferno. It's all about reflexes and memory. Again, those blindfolded speedrunners can do it. Damn it. So you're on, in this case, you're on like a rocket ship. So you have the full level now. You can go all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom. It's not like the first speed bike level where you're kind of on a rail. This feels more like a Space Invaders, 1942, kind of those kind of games. You have the whole screen to work with. You're avoiding tons of little, you have missiles, fireballs. What is it? So you got a firestorm first. You're avoiding fireballs. And then it gets to this laser beam. You got to thread the needle through these. There'll only be like a little open spot. So this is kind of your brick wall speed bike equivalent, is these kind of electric fields. And now it plays different. You need to, your turbo tunnel level 3, you're kind of always staying on the left of the screen to give yourself as much view to expect the next thing. In this case, you can't, because these electric fields are either closing or opening that you need to get through. So you're playing the middle of the field, the front of the field, sliding back to the left of the field again. There's a lot of that craziness going on. That's just for the electrical field part. That's not even crazy-ass, weird missiles going everywhere part. They have missiles that shoot up. You got missiles coming down. You got missiles going left, missiles going right. They're completely random. You have to really pay attention, and then they'll start adding some more electric things with the missiles at the end. It really is like, with the developers, like, what more can we do to just annihilate these young gamers' self-esteem? What else can we do? Well, mine is gone. Mine was gone at level 3, but let's keep going. If you make it through, is there any stupid bosses here? Nope. We're going on to another elevator shaft, the intruder excluder. Let's add in some poison gas for insta-death. Let's get some exhaust fans to suck you up. This is another downward platforming level akin to Mega Man and Metroid. Specifically, what I remember about this, besides dying a lot, there's tricky jumps. There's electric things you have to time. I mean, you can get through some of the platforming. I'll give a little break more than others. Again, the game's not broken, besides 2-player level 11. The controls, they're tight. It's some of the enemies, some of the stun locking. But just running and jumping feels really good, and that's a lot of what you're doing in this level. There's a lot of gaps. It's all just madness, and more so because you're platforming downwards. You always feel like you're falling to a surprise that maybe you don't like so much. But we've got another boss, and this one,
You son of a bitch.
is a little tougher fight. It's a little tough a little more rinse and repeat. It's Robomanus. He's the guy, he's got a machine gun, so he's shooting at you. You got to keep focused. These bosses now, they kind of start out slow and they'll speed up during the fight. Again, he's got that machine gun. This is like, it reminds me of one of the fights, I think from Batman on the NES, where it's just this dance where it's back, up, left, over to the right while they jump over there, attack. You like bounce, jump in between each other, back to the wall, attack. It's a real synchronized kind of dance going on this fight. And maybe the toughest boss, I think, in the game that I played, the end boss, the queen, she's pretty easy. But we'll get out of this tunnel. We'll get out of the fire and into the frying pan. So that was the elevator shaft. The next one, the Terra tubes, the Gargantua ducts. Just why? Like, who hurt you, developers? Who hurt you? Show me on the Toad doll where the bad man touched you, because this is non-stop fast platforming, running from a death gear. You've got sharks. You've got out of nowhere some deadly rubber ducks. It's like a pipe. It's a sewer pipe level. It's no Ninja Turtles. It's no Mario pipe level. This is like death incarnate. The electric seaweed level in TMNT is a cakewalk compared to this level. This one, how do you beat this game without, I mean, maybe you played it a lot as a kid, but how do you, this level 9, you need a save state before it. This is a full, huge square of tight platforming perfection. The type of thing where it's like you misstep once, and you're like, oh, this run's done, and try it again. And you're not even a speedrunner. You're just trying to beat the game. And one misstep is a speedrunner action. You're like, nope, I'm out, restart. It drives me coconut. It's so there's this big gear thing chasing you. You get some breaks, some checkpoints, essentially, I guess. But there's swimming parts too. So then there is very electric, very Ninja Turtle swimming like in some of these parts, threading the needle through the spikes, fish that chase you. You get bit by one of those one time, it's freaking over. It is a tough half underwater level while being chased. And I don't, the chase levels, they already give me anxiety. But, congratulations if you make it through this level, because the next one is even freaking tougher. The Gargantua. That's the name of her ship. So we're like up on the ship now. I haven't really kept up with the story as far as where we are in the game. It's got fun little cutscenes. That's one of the better looking visuals of the thing. They are fun cutscenes. And again, the comic will explain it a little bit more for you. Make sure you're getting 1-ups if you can, although some of those are instant deaths too and not worth it. Collect all the points you can to get those 1-ups if you can, but just avoiding that gear. You got electric eels. You got it's a mess. But let's move on to level 10. Oh my God, it's the rat race. They just keep getting worse. Oh, this level it's downward platforming, but it's more like falling with style. Toy Story, I guess. It's an insanely huge vertical corridor level where the rat chases you faster than the speed of light. And I can say that because it's kind of like those Mega Man lasers, and those are made of light, and this rat's moving faster than those in those Mega Man levels. It's got more deadly gas. I think it's got 3 phases, 3 rat runs, and talk about threading the needle. You've got to hit. There's parts like this in TMNT, the game too, where you're doing that downward falling. And I always think of Mega Man because you got to hit those perfect. You got to like hit that ledge to make sure you fall and just hit left immediately to make that next fall. You need to beat the rat to the bottom to activate the bomb or before it self-destructs. And it'll play with your emotions too. The rat's going to get ahead of you on some of these races, and then he'll get stuck up and you'll finally beat him. It reminds me of when this rat's chasing you. I don't know why. Was it Bugs Bunny Birthday Blowout? It reminds me of that game, which I played a lot and I don't remember liking. It's just one of those games you had where you're like playing it and you're like, I think I'm enjoying this. And you never really are. But I don't know. It reminds me of that. So maybe I've got anxiety from that game as well. You've also got a boss here, which can kill you pretty easy. I mean, he starts out slow. You can only hit him from behind, and he's like a rhino-looking thing, kind of like the other boss fight, where it becomes this bouncy dance, between the two sides of the screen. But like I say, you make it to the bosses, that the hard part's over. It's the levels that are tough. Looking ahead already, I don't know what else I have to say about the rat race. Besides, it sucks terribly and only leads into the worst. You thought all these other vehicle levels were tough. We're moving into level 11. It's called the Klinger Winger.
Hey, listen!
And it makes me want to scream. It's the hardest vehicle level for sure. Maybe the hardest level in the game. 12's pretty freaking stupid too. Level 11, you're holding on to a unicycle looking thing. But this time you're getting chased by this hypno ball orb thing, and you have to hit the directions. I mean, it shows you it's got arrows, but again, this is perfection. One false move, you might as well just start the level over. Which depending if you're game overing and going back to the beginning of this entire game, this game is just not possible. I've seen it beat. I watch videos. I see you speedrunners. You guys I take my number down. 0.01% of the gamers that can actually do this. No save states, no rewinds. It was fun to see these levels, getting my save states, rewinding my way there, but almost just as frustrating, almost more frustrating to rewind a game 30 times for 10 seconds and just die, rip, die, rip, die, rip, die, as opposed to maybe having that little break of making it back through the level to get to that part. But then if I'm playing the turbo tunnel level and trying to breeze through that, and then I get a rat guy at the beginning randomly gives me too much crap, then I'm which can happen too, and then it's like, oh god, it's back to the beginning again. So hope you're not reading any frustration in my voice today. This is we're talking about a game that rules, maybe. So it's the hardest level and also unbeatable in 2-player mode on the original NES. They fixed it in Japan, they fixed it in Europe. But it's game breaking. Player 2 will get stuck in a wall, I think. I didn't play 2-player. And then you just can't make it past the level. How hard would that? Number one, I don't picture any 2 kids making it to level 11, period, in the 90s. Show me. There's no video to go back there. But I would almost place all the money in my life, which granted is not a lot, that there were no 2 kids to make it to no two kids, 10 and under to make it to level 11 together, because it takes a lot of skill to beat this game, to make it that far on your own, to let alone have a partner. Then you add in things, friendly fire that's always on. You're always kicking the crap out of your own Toad, and then trying to figure out who's who on these speeder bike levels. It was a fun game. Beat 'em ups are fun to play together. Maybe turn friendly fire off for a game like this, but that's not how it's not how the Battletoads roll. They are tough to the end. So it's got a boss. If this vehicle level wasn't enough, you have to then beat the Hypno Orb thing. Go look up that fight if you want to. I don't even care anymore. Let's get to level 12. We're talking about the Revolution. You're lucky you look so damn gorgeous, level 12. It's off to... we're going to save Pimple. We're going to save the princess.
Well, excuse me, princess.
And we might just get fried in the meantime. But it's cool. It's like these kind of parallax scrolling levels. They did one of these in Super Ghouls and Ghosts for sure. You're going up a rotating tunnel. I didn't think the NES could handle this kind of gameplay, these kind of graphics, but it does it. It does it well. Except in this level, now you've got clouds trying to blow you off things. There's the platforms that appear and don't appear, disappear. You're going to want to, you can sneak. If you can get the flagpole and rip it out type of thing, then you get the weapon. You're going to want that. But then you've got to run to, the left or right to make the platforms appear, jump up those while the thing's rotating, while clouds are trying to kill you. It is insanely tough platforming, but looks really good. And this level in particular, not as frustrating, I guess. I mean, if you're save state to level 12 and you're just trying to make it through level 12, it can be a fun challenge. It's not hurting my soul like some of the other parts of this game. So it's beatable. And then you get, finally, at least, a pretty easy boss fight. Man, there's something about the Dark Queen. She's got like Elvira kind of vibes. I'm kind of crushing on the Dark Queen. I kind of like her outfit. She looked like she got some black leather, looking like she's got a little emo going on, and it looks like she likes to be a little abusive. Maybe I like that in my relationship. Anyway, you're going to beat the Dark Queen. She's a pretty easy fight. There's tricks. Go watch the fight because you're never going to make it there. Email me if you do. Tell me I'm bad at games. Please email me. Tell me I'm bad at video games because I can't beat Battletoads. It'll break my heart. You beat her. She does this weird kind of twirly cyclone tornado thing. Just hit her in her feet a lot. You can get her. All she's got to be barely off the ground. You can like punch her, kick her. You can jump in the air and kick her as long as she's not in full tornado mode. You're going to be all right. I'll give you a clap because you've beat the game and or watched a video and or heard me talk about the end of Battletoads. Good job. It's more like this though. Just take me out now. We're going to talk about some of the things I need to see this game, some of the things you might need to see this game. Let's talk about some cheats and some codes.
It's a secret.
Shut up.
To survive that brutal, brutal difficulty of Battletoads, you gonna need some cheat codes. You got the Toad code for extra lives. You can start the game with 5 lives instead of 3. It ain't much, but it's a start. Take that. I'm not going to take away any gamer points for you. Take your free lives. You've got the warp points we kind of talked about. So level 1 has one. And it's nice that it's got a couple of warp points. What it's lacking is a password or a save system. It's got the 2-player hitting, the friendly fire on type of thing that I don't enjoy so much. But the warp points always help in a game. It's just some of the warps are hard. You hit that brick wall in level 3. Anyway, so you've got a warp point in level 1, the first one. If you take out the first 2 psycho pigs, run quickly to the right, there'll be a portal there, and that'll take you right to your favorite level, to level 3. So you can warp right to your nightmare. But while in level 3, we can warp again. In level 3, ride that speeder bike. It's at the very end of the 5th section. Purposefully or accidentally, like I do, smash directly into the 10th brick wall. It's going to be on the bottom row. You'll activate that warp. That'll take you to level 5, Surf City. But no warping in there. You're gonna have to keep playing. You're gonna have to surf over those logs. There is a warp in level 4 in the ice caverns. Make your way to the final segment. Let yourself fall halfway down that very first platform pit. I think the platform will then keep moving up, or you need to jump to get it to move up, and a warp will appear at the top. That'll take you to level 6. You can go play with the snakes over there. But speaking of level 6 itself, you got to warp there as well. Reach the second snake climbing room, climb to the top as fast as possible, sprint all the way to the right, drop down into that portal before it disappears. And that'll take you to level 8. So the farthest you can port through this game is up to level 8, and then you've just got to slug it on through, guy, unless you're a baller like me and we're rocking that beautiful, beautiful Game Genie or an emulator. I don't know. But if you're using a Game Genie, check out some of the codes we had back then. You had to break out your old Galoob Game Genie code book, but we had infinite lives. That's going to get you through this game, maybe. You got start with 9 lives, like a cat, I guess. There's a code where enemies die easier. Not going to help me on the vehicle levels. You got super fast punching, which is just always fun. One of my favorite codes from the Game Genie on any of them was mega jumping. That's what it's called here, but sometimes it was like space jumping or something. You could just tap A and Mario's just gone. He's 10 minutes later, he's going to fall down by your little mushroom card at the end of the level. And then you got maximum energy from flies. That'd be great if I could actually catch the flies I was trying to eat. But the main thing on the Game Genie that let us see these levels when we were a kid was the level select Game Genie codes. You could skip directly to specific stages and just die on those ones instead. Any level you want. But let's move on. Let's talk about some speed runs. This is where I knew when I wanted to talk about Battletoads that I was going to talk about the speedrunners because it's a super tough game, and crazy people out there like to take these super tough games and micromanage them down, play them down to their final millisecond, and I appreciate you guys so much. So the Battletoads speedrun community, highly respected, intensely hardcore, deeply collaborative, because it's widely considered one of the most punishingly difficult games ever made. The community that surrounds it is forged by a mutual respect for overcoming impossible odds. Unlike some communities known for their fierce trash talking, the top Battletoads runners, they share a unique bond of suffering. So you've got legendary runners like JC583 and the Mexican runner TMR. He's holding the top spot right now on Battletoads. They historically pushed each other for world records with a culture of support, often shouting each other out, analyzing strategies together. This is the kind of community I like to see when it comes to speed running. And I haven't come across a lot of communities that are trash-talking speedrunners. It usually seems to be, how'd you do that? What'd you figure out there? All that kind of stuff. But because casual players struggle to pass level 3, that infamous turbo tunnel, simply by submitting a completed run to the BattletoadsSpeedrun.com leaderboard earns instant clout in the retro gaming scene, from me included. Let's talk about some of the ways this game is split in its speed run. You got the any percent, no credits, warp, so no warps. The fastest way to beat the game using intentional developer-made warps. Oh, so this one is with the warps. The world record for the category is usually around 12 minutes, 13 minutes with warps. But your 100% no warps, the runners must play through all 12 stages without skipping. That clocks in closer to like 30 minutes, and that will test your sheer endurance against that RNG, that tight hit detection, the instant death obstacles, all there for your fun. But then they've got the two-player co-op, the Ultimate Challenge. The Battletoads co-op is a legendary nightmare due to permanent friendly fire and hardware glitches, like that level 11 glitch. So co-op teams must achieve absolute synchronization, treating the run like a highly choreographed dance where a single mistake kills both players. The community thrives on extreme technical optimization. Runners track how much game lag is generated by the, quote, crunchy audio effects when punching enemies. So it's like the same kind of way they'll do it blindfolded. They know how much lag the game is getting based off of the sound effects. So they'll route their movement to avoid unnecessary frames of slowdown. There's also always a debate on the strict hardware rules. But in this case, we're always prioritizing play on your native console controllers to preserve the spirit of the original game. Once runners master the base game, they push the limits of what human inputs can do. Community members regularly showcase jaw-dropping challenge runs at events like Games Done Quick, including completing the Turbo Tunnel completely freaking blindfolded.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Beating the game one-handed. Or the perfect run taking 0 damage. You guys are impressive. Let's get out of the speed run. Let's talk about a little of the legacy of Battletoads. We'll work our way out of here. A consumer guide named The Winner's Guide to Nintendo, published upon this game's release, admitted that the Turbo Tunnel level was one of the toughest challenges of any NES game ever. In 2012, Yahoo Games stated that the game was still widely recognized as one of the most difficult games ever made, particularly noting the chance of players accidentally killing their partner in two-player mode. Nerdist remarks that Battletoads' sudden difficulty spike was intended to combat the video game rental industry, and if the game was more difficult, then it would take longer to complete, and consumers would be more likely to purchase a retail cartridge instead of renting one. I already talked about that. I'm like, this game's too hard. I'm not going to go buy it. I'm going to go rent something else. Hardcore Gaming 101 writer Eric Provenza. He analyzed Battletoads to be unlike other video games known for their difficulty, such as Ninja Gaiden and Adventure Island, and that it does not get harder gradually. It's just hard. There are different mechanics, enemies, and obstacles for each section, with no opportunities for players to familiarize themselves with them due to limited continues and lives and the absence of a password system or save feature. The game starts as a quirky beat-em-up before rapidly shifting into high-speed obstacle courses and maniac action platforming with very little cohesion. So he had some stuff to say about the game as well. Game players explained that while most of the game's challenges involved patterns that could be memorized by playing the game several times, it had long section lengths and very few continues. He also noted the two-player involving both players having to start over a stage if only one player loses all of his lives. Like there are no quality of life options here for your Battletoad run. It's like walking into a cheese grater and just rubbing yourself up and down, I guess. As far as the franchise itself, it was successful. The game's initial success led to Rare developing various sequels, which would later become part of the Battletoads franchise. You had the spin-off game for the Game Boy, also titled Battletoads, which was released in 1991, but despite having the same box art and title as the NES release, Battletoads for the Game Boy is a separate game in the series, featuring completely different levels and mechanics from the original. The direct sequel then for the Game Boy was Battletoads Return to Ragnarok. I got it here somewhere. Battletoads in Ragnarok's World. And that was an actual port 2 years later. So Battletoads for Game Boy is a different game. Battletoads something Ragnarok for Game Boy is the port years later. And if that doesn't cause confusion, I don't know what will. But we do have two direct sequels, Battletoads and Battlemaniacs and Battletoads and Double Dragon, both released for various consoles in 93. And then you got Battletoads Arcade, released in 1994 to mediocre sales. The pilot episode I talked about for the Battletoads TV series was produced by Canadian DIC Entertainment. Of course, in an attempt to cash in on that TMNT, that pilot originally aired on the weekend of Thanksgiving, but just was never picked up for a full series. In July 2020, not too long ago, Battletoads are still popular. Megalopolis Toys announced a partnership with Rare to release a line of 6-inch action figures based on the games. Lucky for me, I've never got into action figure collecting. There are a lot of like the Black Series now. There's so many action figures that are like crazy and detailed and lifelike. You like take their hands off, replace their hands. It's like just for display. I've got enough stuff to display. Real quick on the ports, we talked about a little bit already, but due to the extreme difficulty on the original, all subsequent ports of the games went through varying measures to tone it down, to make it a bit more accessible to us casual players, causing some of the demanding levels to be modified or removed altogether. There's an Amiga, there's a Game Gear, there's a Mega Drive game. Even, of course, like I said, the Battletoads game looks great on the Mega Drive, but didn't really do that much different. It's like it was appreciated by critics for keeping the gameplay and humorous animations of the first one, but it didn't improve anything enough from 8-bit to really make it stand out. During E3 in 2015, it was announced that NES version of Battletoads would be coming to Xbox One as part of Rare Replay, that collection of 30 emulated games by Rare. And in that case, they fixed that bug in the 11th level for player 2 there, another bug fix. And as we reach the end of our Battletoads breakdown here, it's time to see what some of you guys think. What are your opinions? Did you beat Battletoads? Did you love it? Let's get ready to give this game some awards.
Aren't you a little old for video games?
That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
Let's do all the things that you want to do.
Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss. He's the info.
I've lived in mortal terror that this would happen.
Get on with the ceremony.
Let's take a ride on the internet. For these comments, they're going to go a little all over the place. What did you guys think of Battletoads? Have you beat it? We got Pat here. He says, love it. I actually beat it when I was a kid. I'll stop you right there. Pics or it didn't happen. And tried my hand at it as an adult. I was surprised how much muscle memory was there. I think it only took me about 2 or 3 hours of restarts to finish it again. I couldn't imagine beating it multiplayer though. You and the second player would have to be in some sort of Pacific Rim drift in order to be in sync enough to complete it, not to mention comparable skill levels. That being said, it is a bitch to beat on the Rare Replay collection because the D-pad on the Xbox One is absolutely abysmal, and forget attempting it with an analog stick. I tried the Genesis version as well, but the timing is way off and it screws me up every time. But I personally can't rewrite almost 30 years of muscle memory to compensate for a different port. I take back that, Pat. Maybe you did beat this game. If this was your game and you got that muscle memory, there's no real like action games like that I'd have to think that I'm like super proud of as far as a game like Battletoads. Like 101%, 102%, like Donkey Kong Countries, these kind of games that have some hard secrets, hard Donkey Kong coins to get to. Mario 64 has got some tough red coins. All these things are forgiving because you can kind of just do them over and over again and kind of work on your skill, whereas Battletoads will just beat you up even if you do finish that level. Your skills are gone now for the next level. Redo it again 12 times. Versatile Ninja says, I remember using Game Genie to last level and still can't beat it. Massive respect for speedrunners on this game. It's incredible. I agree. Sometime Unkind says, even though Battletoads is hard, at least it's fun. And I feel like that it's true. I mean, it's like I play it and I'm only getting frustrated because I want to beat it. And I guess in like a time sort of way, like I'm not just playing it on my free time. I'm playing it kind of like a schedule. Like I kind of need to get through this game and it's just railing me against the wall. I feel like Ghosts and Goblins. That's another one of those games that's on the hard but fun list. There's a lot of them out there. Again, it's not broken, so I'm not going to give it as much crap as like a NES Ghostbusters or a Fester's Quest or any of those broken games. We got Ultima Gabe here says, Rat Race is the reason I've never completed this game. Even on an emulator, the only time I've gotten that far, I accidentally save stated during that level and was never able to get around it. I've done that as a rewinder save stater sometimes as well. Like whatever it is to screw yourself, you either save over one of your states or open it when you weren't supposed to. And that's just, you know what? That's the price. That's our punishment for having to use save states and those kind of things. But I'm old. I want to see these games, so I'm going to keep doing it. Loco Carl says, somehow my brother wound up finding the original game for NES, and I've gotten up to the hoverbike level and never gotten any farther. Join the club. Gameplay was quite good, though. It surprised me a bit what they managed to come up with despite the hardware limitations. Barroso says, definitely harder than even Ninja Gaiden. Whereas Alex22 says, screw that game, not worth raising my blood pressure and ending up at the hospital. And I've had those feelings as well lately. Sir number 2664 says, I don't know. I'm still on the fence about this game. I've been trying on and off sometimes, but the punishing difficulty is taking the fun out of the equation for me. I'm not sure it's worth slogging through it and hating almost every moment of it. At least that's my 2 cents on it for now. And I know how that goes. A lot of video games, it's like you're frustrated. You end it, you go to bed, that you're never going to play that game again. And then as soon as you wake up in the morning, you're like, all right, turn that thing on. Like, let's go. So I get that as well. Last comment here from Clueless Gamer 22. Am I the only one who thought the game was super easy till the last few levels? Yes.
You're killing me,
this,
Smalls.
You get that. You get this.
Listen.
And you get this. I don't believe you. You are the only one who thought the game was super easy till the last few levels. You were that kid on the playground. You just beat everything easy peasy, didn't you? I'm playing with you, Clueless. Come on over. Show me burn through that turbo tunnel level for me, and then we'll chat. We'll have some pizza rolls. It'll be a good time. It's award time for me. What did I come up with? What warts am I gonna shine on this here Toad? Let's open it up and take a look. All right, we've got a brand new award, Battletoads Big Bad Boot Award for some inspiring new sprite design or animation. Third place, it's the Toads cartoony animations. I love all of it. The big boot, you got the big giant fist, the ram's horn when you're charging. They only get better and sillier as the series moves on. The death animations are particularly gruesome and hilarious. Second place, the snowman enemy. I don't know why. Frosty's evil snow-slinging twin. Something about defeating your enemy and using his flesh to then defeat his brethren is something I picture like Liam Neeson doing in another Taken movie, or like a John Wick. I'm talking about the snowballs when you're throwing the snowball part. But anyway, the winner, it's going to be Steel Beak. Steel Beak. It's the rubber duck from hell. It's one of the enemies in that sewer level. He jump scares right out of a pipe and destroys your life with his sharp metal teeth, apparently. You're gonna need a bigger boat. Moving on, award 2. It's the Touch Fuzzy Get Dizzy Award. That's for interesting, I guess, for better or worse, level and gameplay mechanics. Third place, the Vaders. Those Space Invader. Let's just take enemies in an already tough game, but let's break the fourth wall and let's literally have them steal your actual health bar, and then you have to fight to get them back. Why must you punish us so much? Second place, it's going to be level 12, the Revolution. Revolving platform levels? I mean, yes, please. Again, that technology, that's for the Super Nintendo. So it's super impressive. It's not that it's kind of a torturous level. It's tough. None of you have ever seen it because it's the last level of Battletoads. So go look at some screenshots. But the winner is going to be, for my favorite innovation, even though it makes me want to rip my own head off, it's going to be the snake level. Karnath's Lair, the Snake Pit. It's like, I know Rare, I know you guys made Snake Rattle and Roll, but gosh dang, this level is tough. It was fun at first, that first one. It was new, it was exciting. Oh, what's going on here? And then every level after that, they just beat you to freaking death with it. Finally, award number 3, the Cake is a Lie award. It's going to go to the best food item in the game. And the winner is, because there's only one food item, it's going to be the flies. The flies I can't even catch if I wanted to. One food item, and I just get to watch them fly away and laugh at me. Just like my toad in this game, I'm running out of health. I'm running out of life. Let's power through this. Let's rate this thing. See if this game rules. Is it a rental? Should it be retired to the sewers? They can duke it out with the Ninja Turtles and the Street Sharks for like a pure 90s bodacious bloodbath match to the death. We're going to rate this thing out of 8,000 because that's how many times I had to play the Turbo Tunnel level to beat it. Gameplay, we're going to go 3,184 out of 8,000. That's based on the fact level 3 was all anybody could get to. It was too much, too fast, and not just the speed of the vehicle levels. Every level was so new, there was never a chance to perfect anything. That rewarding feeling turned into depression as it seemed like every game over only got you past the next enemy or obstacle. I'd say bonus points for 2-player, but it was almost as harsh as like new Super Mario Wii with the multiplayer. If you know, you know. You're just bouncing off of people's heads. Anyway, the visuals, let's kick it up. We'll give it 5,663 out of 8,000. The stupid numbers, right? I was sold on the box art, that purple and green. The bright colors are great. The cartoony animations, rival games like Sonic and Toe Jam and Earl over on the Sega. The varying levels end up giving the game a lot of life and personality and funny cutscenes to top it off. It's just too bad nobody got to see all those levels and the later 70% of the game. Music and sound, 6,954 out of 8,000. These are very precise ratings. David Weiss, he's a legend. The music is good. I mean, the sound effects can start to eat away at your brain a little bit, but based on the fast players who can use sound cues to beat the speed levels blindfolded like bats using sonar, I'm going to knock the score up a little farther. It's not Rash and Zit's fault that they didn't get an awesome cartoon title sequence to work with like the Ninja Turtles. The music, it's fine though. Awesomeness, 7,840 out of 8,000. Awesome, it's a hard ranking. This is a game that a lot of people didn't beat, yet everyone knows about it. Anytime I remember talking about a game on recess, it's gonna get a high awesome score. It was designed difficult by gamers. It wasn't a rushed, broken mess. There was definitely love put into this game by the developers. I just wonder now if the developers were loved as children or if they have some unresolved anger issues, but don't we all? Let's add it all up and let's see if this game rules. Decisions. How do we judge these old NES tough games? I'll tell you how. Like a child, that's how. Because although everyone was talking about Battletoads on the playground, I mean, it doesn't mean it was for the right reasons. Sure, this game had developed a community with the hardcore gamers many years later, and yeah, technically speaking, the game isn't broken, but it does have a way to break a person. Like, would I give this game to a young kid today and possibly turn them away from gaming forever? I totally wouldn't. Do you see, it's a pun. I totally wouldn't. So although this game is a legacy, its difficulty mixed with the fact that there are less toad puns than there are turtle puns, this game is sliding down that late night drop shoe and it is landing in the rental category, doomed to a life of repeated late fees because you ain't beating this game in one weekend. Man, this game almost broke me. It almost did. I had to take a lot of breaks, but it's like this game was saying, you can't do this, and an adult me doesn't When someone says that to me, it's a challenge, but now adult me agrees. I can't do this. I'd rather beat myself up on Ninja Turtles 1. I'd rather be a speedrunner on that game, just because I like that IP a little better, I guess. But thanks again for listening to this week's show. I'm in a better mood now. We'll move past Battletoads. Hit me up at thatgamerules@gmail.com. Tell me your Battletoad thoughts. Tell me what your hardest game was when you were a child. Was it Fester's Quest or Mylan's Secret Castle like it was for me? I hope you all have a totally awesome week. Go do as the Battletoads do. Go make some bacon. Go pound some pork if that's how you like to party. It's time to hop on the speed bike, smash into every wall on the way out. More retro fun next time, but until then, y'all stay safe. Watch out for those deadly rubber ducks. Thanks again, everyone. I will see you on the next one.
Go!